Mesopotamian, actually. That was the name of the show. And we had Flatman B and Neophyte join us for a little bit of side conversation, a little bit of tangent, but it was pretty interesting. Tomorrow, us in the afternoon show, 5 p.m., he's tackling Hebrew cosmology, which is also a Christian cosmology because they don't have their own. They borrowed from the Hebrews. And on Friday, us at 5 p.m., is doing a book review, Scripture and Cosmology by Kyle Greenwood. So stick around, matters now. And you have a lot of content coming up. That's we've been striving to get a variety of content to everyone. It's Probing Time has been having some little problems with the YouTube notifications. I'm so sorry, but you're on time. We're just beginning. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Before we get into the show, today's show was proposed by John Taking Back Eden, and I had invited him to come on stage with us and have some fun. But due to some circumstances regarding an appearance of mine over on Dave, some Flat Earther stream with Flatzoid and what Jeranism, he got himself uninvited. Basically, because he's taking out of context the words of another person just to make his point, and I think that is incredibly dishonest, and that is, to my view, a kind of lying. So yeah, he got himself uninvited by doing that repeatedly, and doubling down when pointed out that he was cherry picking a sentence of a paragraph that someone said just to illustrate a point. So yeah, things that happen. If you want to support the channel, make sure to click the link, click the like button, click subscribe, click on the notifications, and then click it again to make sure that you have all the notifications when we have a show. And that helps us. Remember, clicking the like button is free and it doesn't cost a thing. It's just a minor expenditure of calories to take that action. So today we're talking about dragons, and it's a very interesting subject. Dragons are one of the most ubiquitous things shared across many cultures. And but before we begin, I would like to do a little distinction on what a dragon even is. I have here some pictures for you. And dragons in general are they have 4 limbs. So they have 2 legs and 2, we would say, anterior legs or arms. But there's also what are called wyverns, which if any of you are familiar, let me add this, if any of you are familiar with the dragons from Skyrim, they're not technically dragons. They are wyverns. So dragons, and this is the little treat I have. Sorry. I managed to get like an ancient book digitized from the 1700s. And as we can see, dragons have 4 limbs and the wings. This is the most ubiquitous dragon design. But the dragons in Skyrim, they're actually wyverns, meaning that their wings are part of their arms. And that's an important distinction to make when we are talking about dragons. So, we're going to begin our chat by mentioning a person called Athanasius Kircher. He was a Jesuit priest, a man of humor, a poet, a writer, with such art as well as grace, but he was crazy, totally crazy. He never got anything right in a sense, and we'll go a little bit into the details there. He used to illustrate his own books, and that was what I was showing you before. And he lived in the 17th century. And one important piece of data to know about Kircher is that he wrote a book attempting to translate the Egyptian hieroglyphs. And it's 500 pages, well argumented, analyzing in depth all of the hieroglyphs, and it's detailed and it's precise and everything. And the fun fact about this is that he made it many years before Champollion actually deciphered the Egyptian hieroglyphs. And the fun fact about this issue is that in a 500-page book, he didn't get a single hieroglyph right. Even random chance would have you at least getting some of them right. He couldn't do that. So that's why people say that he didn't get anything correct. So according to Father Kircher, there are 5 families of dragons. The Draconis teutonica, which lived in Germany and Scandinavia. The Draconis galli, that lived around France. Sorry, my voice faded there for a second. The Draconis galli from France, the Draconis albionensis, which is from Great Britain. The Draconis Cappadociae, which is from the Mediterranean region. The Draconis Sionensis, which were in China. So these were the 5 families. And Kircher also said that there are no dragons in the Americas. Sorry. Since Kircher was wrong about a lot of stuff, what I had to do was go and check if anything of this saying of this part of what Kircher said was correct. And even on a list here from Wikipedia, the American dragons, which are right here at the bottom, I think, American dragons, all of this, none of them are true dragons. They're mostly sort of snakish. So yeah, he was correct in that. So 1 point for Kircher. And now that I have you here, let's do another little side tangent on this is what my browser looks while I prepare the show. I've been saving this session for a while since I did the script for the show on Sunday. And I've been saving this session. I've just been suspending my computer, not turning it off, so I could save this because I usually do this in private, so they don't mess up my browsing history because I use that a lot. But yeah, this is like it's like a scene from A Beautiful Mind. I have a million tabs open with a bunch of stuff that I use to prepare the show. So yeah, it's this is a little bit of the work that goes into preparing some of these shows, which take a couple of hours, but usually last between 20 and 30 minutes talks. So let me go back here. So yeah, I gave Kircher a point there on having the fact that dragons are not really present in American mythology. They're more like serpents. So after detailing their categories, he wrote the following. Given that these animals of this type search for lairs and sustenance in deep caves, I've considered it appropriate to give them also the category of underground beasts. And I can distinguish two classes of them, with and without wings. In his book, Mundus Subterraneus, which was the book that I was showing earlier, let me pull that back up for you just a second. Where's my tab? Here's my tab, and we can take a look. This is, it's in 2 tomes, and the dragons appear in the 2nd tome of the book. So here we have one example. Here's one of the ones that don't have wings. Here we have another one that only has 2 limbs and has wings. And here I have no idea what this is. It says Gallus, but I don't understand. This is either written in Italian or in Latin. I really can't tell which one it is. But this one, for example, this one looks like an undead dragon, which is kind of cool. And as we said, Kircher was the one that illustrated his own books. And these are really, really detailed. Damn. I don't know if you heard it, but the really, really thunder, really loud thunder. For example, he also did some cartography, and the maps that are included in this book are quite amazing, to be honest. And for example, it has foldable pages. Let me see if I can find one of those. It has foldable pages that would open, sort of like children books that have in some cases. It takes a lot to load because it's super high quality. And this book is available for free from the National Library of Spain. Anyone can watch this. I recommend, if you want to watch it, download it, because it's so high quality that it takes a lot to load if you do it online. But yeah, it's I'm going to try to find a translation of this book, because it got me really interested. He has images of fossils, and the cartography was a little bit up. So let me go here. This one probably. That's wider. Come on, load. Damn, waiting for load times is annoying. And I have this downloaded in my computer. Oh, it's the book cover. Damn it. The problems of doing stuff live, you know? Well, let me continue on. So in his book, in this book that I'm showing you, Mundus Subterraneus, he tells a story of a fight between a dragon and a knight named Gocione in the Isle of Rhodes in the year 1349. He describes the monster as having the volume of a horse, long neck, a snake's head, and ears like a mule. It had blue wings, but could only fly for just a moment. Gocione, to win the fight, attempted to imitate the dragon. He created a sort of armor, bought a horse and 2 English dogs, which he put inside the structure, and practiced attacks for 2 months. When the dragon appeared, it was enough for the dragon to exhale its really deadly breath, and I'm referring to the dragon, obviously, for the knight to fall on the floor unconscious, and some slaves helped him. They retrieved him and took him to a nearby city. After that, Gocione didn't dare face the dragon that dragon or any other anymore. And this is a sad story, because the dragon actually wins. And we'll see that some of these stories, dragons are kind of the mean, that they're kind of bad. They ask for tributes, and a lot of stuff, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Still trying to look for one of those maps in the cartography section, but so this was Kircher and his idea on dragons. It looks like I'm not going to find it right now, so never mind. But I've shown you what I wanted on this book, and yeah, it's pretty fun. If you ask me, I don't know how they would reconcile. It seems a little bit heretic to me to have this dragon belief and being a Jesuit priest. So I don't know how that would interact. But the next account that we're going to cover are by Jorge Luis Borges, who is one of the most prolific Spanish-speaking authors. It's up there with Garcia Marquez and many of the great authors of the Spanish language. And Borges tells us in the Book of Imaginary Beings that dragons possess the ability to shapeshift. In general, they've been imagined, and listen to this, with a horse body, a snake's tail, big lateral wings, and 4 claws, each one having 4 talons. Their horns are similar to that of a deer. Their head is like a camel, their eyes like a demon, and neck like a snake. Their belly is like a mollusk, its scales are like a fish, its claws like the eagle, the soles of their feet like the tiger, and their ears are like the ox. There are dragons that don't have ears, so they hear through their horns, like many of us. And Tim, very quick on the emojis. Thank you, Tim, for the illustration. It's sorry. It's habitual to represent them with a pearl hanging on their neck. This pearl is an emblem for the sun, and it's this pearl that is the source of their power. A dragon is harmless if that pearl is taken from it. However, the most popular representations attribute to dragons a hefty body with a reptile look, eagle claws, serpentine tail, and a fiery or poisonous breath. They are covered in scales and, like we said, they breathe fire or some sort of noxious gas like a poison. For Western cultures, these creatures, the dragons, represented evil. They would devour people, guard treasures at the bottom of the sea or in deep caverns, and they would sometimes be jailers of beautiful damsels, which knights attempted to rescue. The presence, their presence, sorry, especially. Sorry, give me 1 second. I need to take water because I don't know. I forgot to get my glass ready. I'll leave you with Isa for just a second.
Sure. I could talk a little bit about this. When I was a child, I read a book called Saint George and the Dragon, and it illustrates exactly what was being discussed. This idea of, particularly in European mythology, the idea of the dragon kind of guarding the maiden and guarding wealth, and this dragon really has no power. It's interesting because it's this powerful entity that's guarding something that it cannot benefit from. It can't benefit from the maiden nor through the hoard of wealth that it's guarding. And you'll see in a lot of themes like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. So hand it back over to Max.
All right. Thank you so much. Where were we? Oh, yes. They guarded beautiful damsels, and their presence, especially when they flew at night, was a premonition of wars, epidemics, and other calamities. The Western legend of the hero knight, Dragon Slayer, has many, many versions, and they are mostly bloody stories because, of course, if you're killing a dragon, there will be blood. We have the story of Saint George, always portrayed on a white horse with a lance in hand. This legend starts during the Crusades near Libya, where an enormous dragon lived who terrorized the villagers. The dragon started asking for sheep as tribute, but then later moved on to start asking for damsels as tribute. It all got complicated when it came the turn for the daughter of the king to be sent as tribute. And the way they used to do this was a sort of raffle to determine which damsel would be giving. So the king refused when she got drawn, when her name got drawn out of the raffle for the tribute, and the townspeople rebelled against him, leaving him no alternative but to hand over his daughter to the dragon. They were on their way to give her as tribute, and this is when Saint George charged the dragon with his spear and killed it. He later tied the dragon to the back of his horse and paraded it through the city. What else are you going to do if you kill a dragon? You have to do a parade. I mean, that's obvious. Some say that the prosecution of dragons was was because the body of a dragon could give magical powers. Each part would be a magical resource. Whoever ate, and we have a little list over here, so if you're looking to gain magical powers, listen up. Whoever ate a dragon heart would earn the power of prophecy. The ones who ate a dragon tongue would earn the power of winning any discussion, or to put that a little better, would win the power of persuasion. People mocking Santos, the flat earther. I don't know if you know who that is, but I'll save this message and we'll talk about it when we're done with the chat. Yes, if you eat a dragon tongue, Tim, you will win the power of persuasion. Dragon's blood would give whoever bathed in it the power of invulnerability. The blood of the dragon Fafnir gave the hero Siegfried invulnerability when he was taking a bath. But as this happened, he had a leaf stuck to his back, and that section of his body was untouched by the dragon blood, which gave him a spot which his enemy Hagen took advantage of to kill him. And here we can notice a parallel between the story of Siegfried and the dragon Fafnir and the story of Achilles, who was bathed by his mother in the waters of the river Styx, but he was held by his ankle, and that created a vulnerable spot at the famous Achilles heel. I wonder, when I hear this story, I always wonder, like, what would it have cost her to just either switch hands or switch positions to grab him from another side and make him fully invulnerable? But I guess we'll never know. And also, as we have stated a couple of times already in this show, every time one of these either a condition or one of these details are placed over a person in myth, it's this exact thing that becomes their undoing. In China, however, dragons are considered a beneficial animal. They inhabited the sky and they would foreshadow good luck and good crops. In the center and north of China, they were considered rain deities. They would water the rice fields, and with their breath, they would form clouds. Fei Ling, the one that controlled the wings, was a small dragon, not bigger than a tiger. Chinese dragons could also become Chinese dragons would also glow in the dark or become invisible. And in China live the most extensive family of oriental dragons, which had many species and whose size varied between small ones as Fei Ling to big ones up to 300 meters long from maw to tail. Can you imagine like a 3-block dragon? That's surely a sight to see. But you know, the Chinese dragons, there's more snake-like, so it makes sense. And this reminds me of the dragon from Dragon Ball Z. You probably know the name. It's I'm drawing a blank with it now. Do you remember, Isa?
Of course I do. It's
Shenlong,
Shenron.
I think it was.
Shenron. You're talking to an anime
Shenron.
guy. You're talking to an anime guy. You got the right
And
person.
he was yeah, thank you. I knew it. Shenlong is something else. It's another character or something, but I can't. But yeah, Shenron. And they're long and scaly.
Do you know that game where you turn into like beasts?
Can you repeat that? You broke up.
I think it's Bloody
Yes.
Fury. Yeah, where you turn into beasts. Shenlong is one of those characters that they have Buckaroo, the mole. So you transform into like some powerful, and I think one of them is a dragon too. So Gado, the lion.
What was it? Bloody Roar was the name of the game from PlayStation 1, right?
Yes, 1, 2, and 3. GameCube.
That was a cool game. Yeah, I remember that one. And yeah, Ashton Richards. My thing is lagging a little bit right now. I think it's me, but Ashton Richards said it sounds like very much like what's depicted in Dragon Ball. Yes, and also remember the trail of the snake from Dragon Ball Z. It was a really long dragon that was also a path. But yeah, 300 meter 300 meter dragon. Dragons in China could change color, but they were born being red. The first historical chronicles attributed dragons the paternity of the first emperors. And for a long time, Borges remembers in his book of Imaginary Beings that the dragon was the empire's emblem. The throne was called the Dragon Throne. The emperor's face was the face of the dragon. And to say that the emperor was dead, they would say that he had ascended to the sky in a dragon. Chinese dragons could take different colors, just like octopi do. Black would be when they were in a destructive mood. Yellow meant death, and blue announced the birth of a great person. When Confucius was born, circa 550 BCE, 2 blue dragons flew over the house where he was about to be born. Thank you, Bob. Yes, but you can call them octopodes, octopi, or octopuses. Each of those 3 words are fine. And I got this from a biologist. I think it's Nikki something on YouTube. She has a great channel. It's all three words are accepted. So these were the Chinese dragons, and we touched on the Germanic dragons with Siegfried and Fafnir, and the ideas of Kircher, and now we're going to a little bit down Greek, and Bob had it right. Yeah, foreshadowing. He probably has eaten dragon tongue. No, sorry, dragon heart, so he can make prophecies. Yes. The poets of Greece and Rome also talked about dragons, but very little. It was believed they were capable of understanding and transmitting the knowledge of the mysteries of the world to humans. Philostratus made a distinction between dragons of the hills or mounts and swamp dragons. The first ones, the dragons of the hills or mounts, had a moderated crest, which would grow as they got older, similar to roosters. The swamp dragons didn't have a crest, and Philostratus notes that they would feed on elephants. When an elephant went through the swamp, the dragon would attack them and eat them. And maybe this is the reason that there's so few elephants, or maybe this is the reason there's so few dragons. And I also, when I was reading this and preparing this, I was thinking like, but wait, elephants in Greece? That makes no sense to me. Let's take a look at some other myths. There was Sharnaban, king of the Getae or the Gets, who received and gave hospitality to Triptolemus, who was in service of Demeter. You might remember we mentioned Demeter as the mother of Persephone, the wife of Hades, the king of hell in the Greek myths. And Triptolemus traveled the earth on a chariot pulled by two dragons, and he went about teaching men the secrets of wheat agriculture. Sharnaban attacked Triptolemus and killed one of his dragons. And this enraged Demeter, who killed the king and sent him up to the stars to make him a constellation of him killing a dragon. This constellation is still there today, and if you look at the star chart, you can find it. It's very interesting how for the Greeks, all the constellations had stories attached to them, and there usually something happens and the gods decide to immortalize the person into a constellation. The one I've named, the one I remember right now that we have covered it on our show is the constellation of Jacinth, who became a flower and he was sent over. Coincidentally, he was the one that he's said to have been the first homosexual. He fell in love with another man, and it's a story we might cover at some point. We also have Cleostratus, a Thespian young man who freed his city-state from a dragon, who would receive each year the life of one of the peasants of the city-state as tribute. One day, he got drawn in the raffle for the tribute, and his name came up. Together with a friend, they created a metallic armor with hooks in it and let himself be eaten by the dragon, which died. I'm sorry, my voice is all over the place today. Which died of indigestion. this ended the series of people being eaten that had lasted a very long time. And I kind of like the idea of turning oneself into indigestion on purpose. We can also remember the Colchis dragon, the one guarding the golden fleece, which we have also talked about in the Tell Me That Story show. This golden fleece is probably the one that we mentioned, or maybe there was another golden fleece. We have no way of knowing. But that dragon, the Colchis dragon, was put to sleep in order to access the treasured fleece it was guarding. And to end this chat tonight, we will briefly mention Python, which is mostly referred to as a snakish dragon. And when Apollo attempted to raise a shrine near Delphos, or Delphi, he encountered this dragon which ate humans and animals alike from all around. But Apollo ended him with arrows because this dragon would also make prophecies and pronounce oracles. So before setting up the Delphi oracle, Apollo made sure to kill the dragon so he would have no competition in the field of oracle and prophecies. And this is the chat that I prepared for you today. I would like to dedicate this chat to what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Let's Isa, give your dedication, and it will come back to me. I'm sorry.
Sure. I'll give my dedication to the dragon that guards the cave. The dragon, is guarding all of its treasures and can never really benefit or gain from it, but it's still there. It's still strong. It's still, has the fortitude. And maybe we as people can learn from the dragon to be stronger in our character and have more willpower in our own lives and have more dedication to whatever we're doing, even if we don't benefit ourselves from that treasure that may be behind us.
All right, that is an awesome dedication, and I would like to dedicate this to two people. Dennis Quaid, who was the actor of the Dragonheart, the movie, who shared half a heart with a dragon. And I would also like to dedicate this to Heath Ledger, who was in the movie A Knight's Tale, because knights and dragons. So to both of them goes my dedication. These stories are always interesting, and we can always look into modern culture and more modern representations of dragons. The movie How to Train Your Dragon comes to mind, where they are subjugated with where they're subjugated with like a big mean dragon has subjugated the dragons, and when they take care of that mean dragon, humans and dragons can coexist. There's also a bunch of other modern. Do you have one favorite portrayal of dragons, Isa?
I actually liked Raya the dragon, the new Disney movie. I really liked her personality. I liked Raya's personality. I thought that it was just it was a powerful film, and it was a powerful way to see a dragon being. I like dragons that are very that have human qualities. There's also the dragon from the Hobbit series.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that one. Yeah,
and
go ahead.
Speaks too, and he speaks also like I always think those dragons are really cool that have kind of human qualities to them too. They're not just like, like a mindless monster. That these are very elderly beings. They're entities that have existed throughout time, and they all have education, and they're intelligent. And I think that it's something to connect to. You're like, wow, this is an ancient being throughout time that's existed, and it's also kind of like a sage, know.
Hmm.
So I always like
Smaug.
dragons. Yes, it's Smog. That's right.
Smaug was the name. Yeah. I I have I'm trying to retrieve a picture right now, but I have in my armpit a tattoo of a dragon jaw with some planets and some stuff inside, which I really like. And yeah, I've always been captivated by the dragon imagery.
I've, I've
Um,
I've got another dragon series. So if you like video games, this is a
yes,
dragon metaphor. A character that I always loved is Breath of Fire series by Capcom. Um, your main character turns into a dragon. So there's this thing called the Dragon Tribe, and your main character throughout the Breath of Fire series is this person that's usually a member of this tribe that can transform into a dragon. So I always think that's super cool.
uh, there we go. We can see this I have there. So it's a dragon and it has planets and stars inside, and it's kind of an explosion. And the reason I got this it was because I had the sleeve already done, and I wanted to get my ribs done, but I didn't want the space in the middle, like a blank space in the middle. So one day I was talking to a friend, and he told me that he wanted in his forearm, he had kind of the idea of being a rapper. Uh, and he wanted like a tattoo of a microphone with the plug getting injected into, like, getting plugged into his veins. And I told him, it's like, dude, without even looking, I know that someone already has that. If you're going to get a tattoo, get something original, get something crazy, like the jaw of a dragon open with a universe inside. And immediately I told them, yeah, but no, I'm going to get that. Don't get that one. And it just came to me. It was like I was mocking my friend, and the idea came to me. And and yeah, I decided to get it done. And it's one of my favorite tattoos that I have. And yes, Ashton, that is my tattoo. It's my armpit. If you look at a few of the videos where I'm wearing tank tops, you can see it. But yeah, it hurt like a, oh my dog, I can't even explain how much that one hurt. From like the pain of having your arm like that for 4 hours or something crazy like that. It was absolutely insane. And that zone is really tender. It hurts insanely bad. And the worst part is, while you're healing, you can't wear deodorant. So yeah, it gets a little bit weird. But yeah, dragons. It was a nice idea. Too bad John got himself uninvited from the show. And I have a couple of messages from the people. Any other reflection you would like to, or any of the stories that resonated, the ones that we've covered today?
So I'm familiar with a lot of those stories because I like video games, and a lot of the video games have like Shin Megami Tensei, and they carry a lot of this mythology. So I'm familiar with Fenrir and Siegfried. Like I knew these stories from before, and I think they're very rich, and they're also kind of sad. A lot of the, particularly European literature, is it's kind of tragic. You have these kind of
Mm.
epic, powerful heroes who, there's some reason that they falter. They have some element where they're so powerful, but they have this one little dot that makes it so that they crumble. And most of them falter. And they falter because of whatever that weakness is. And I think it shows our human condition.
Yeah, it does. And I do like, however, the contrast with the Chinese, that to them, they were the bringers of good fortune. They were the bringers of water for the rice that was vital to their survival. They were a representative of the emperor, and when the emperor died, they carried him off to wherever they think their afterlife was. I'm not really sure, but I still haven't. We still haven't decided with Isa what we're going to do for the next shows, but we do have a little bit of the creation myth show kind of proposed before, so we might do that soon. And but we're going to decide after this week or the weekend. We're going to decide what shows we're doing next. This round of shows, up until now, I had decided beforehand, but now it's going to be more of a thing that we decide collectively. So, messages from you all. Is it possible the dragon guarding a maiden is some kind of metaphor for women's purity? It's definitely possible, yes. What do you think on this, Isa?
So what I think about this is it's a bizarre situation. The idea, it's just this weird categorization of women and females and their sexuality. I think it's an interesting thing of how perhaps men did write these kinds of narratives that did see women in such a light. And maybe they did view it that way. It's, again, I think it's very interesting to the narrative of the dragon that's guarding something that they cannot really partake in. The dragon cannot partake in the wealth. It cannot partake in the maiden. It doesn't benefit from what it's guarding. So I think it's an interesting situation. And it would be interesting to maybe have like a film or a story where it's from the dragon's perspective. Like you mentioned Dragonheart, which is something like that, but the dragon isn't necessarily the main character. It's more of a supporting character, but it'd be interesting to have a story solely from the dragon's perspective of how it sees human beings. There's another game series called Dragon Age too, which is another cool series of the Dragonborn, and even Skyrim. They all have like these dragon spaces where the human being is connected to the dragon as well, having dragon blood. So I kind of like that in modern days, that the human and the dragon are kind of fused.
Yeah, in Dragon Age, they're kind of central, and you have Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition, and it's also very tied with the whole religious themes. It's a good series. I don't like the gameplay, but the story, it's kind of old gameplay wise, but the story was pretty cool. It's Probing Time mentioned Heath Ledger, the best Batman Joker ever by far. True that. We miss him so much, but actors tend to have this. When you have all the money and all the fame, life tends to get a little bit dull. So a lot of people tend to go to the dark side, let's say. And the other comment I have saved was Ashton saying, only drink the middle pea. And this is in reference, and most people here probably know this, it's in reference to a flat earther called Santos, who's kind of like a really unstable old man who drinks his own urine. And he says that you don't have to drink neither the first bit nor the last bit. You need to drink the middle pea. And if we go to MC Toon's store, here, let me see. I would like to share this with you. He has. Hold on. Where is it?
I do have to say one thing that I think is fascinating about flat Earth that I've noticed is that flat Earth is not just flat Earth. It's like flat Earth with a bunch of other philosophies and ideologies all fused together. Because I was listening to the flat earthers, and at first it sounds like it's science. Then all of this other stuff comes out where we start talking about firmaments and ether, and Satan comes in too. Satan is a great participant in this conversation about flat Earth, which I think is fascinating. You know, we believe in flat Earth because Satan made us. I mean, we believe in globe because Satan told us this evil lie. You know,
Yes. I can't find the mug, but MC Toon was showing it. It's a coffee mug that says, don't drink this in the middle, and then don't drink the bottom part. And this guy is really out there on this urine beliefs. He says that you can keep the urine forever, and that it becomes better, like it's aged. And yeah, it's wild. It's out there, really. And yeah, I know it's noticed that it's fertile ground for some outlandish views of the world. Uh, for example, one thing he says is that he washes his hair with urine, and that his gray hair is turning back again black. And I don't know, I get that idea of like we were talking on the Sunday show, nice segue to a promotion. We did a show on Sunday with Isa where we covered one guy who is sort of a crypto bro, and I get kind of the same vibe, except that he's not selling you his P, he's just telling you to buy your own. And he says that he has a stock. Santos says that he has a stockpile of P. Like, it's mind-boggling. But I managed to freaking find one thing that I was looking since the start of the show on Kircher's book. These are this is one of the foldable pages of the book, and I hadn't seen this in a long time. This is like a map, a cartography of the southern part of Africa, Madagascar and stuff. And this would fold, and you can see how it folds on the other side, on the next pages. I will leave the link in the side chat. So if you want to check this out, if you speak either Italian or Latin, it's an awesome thing to read. But just looking at the pictures, it's really, really interesting, and the detail on some of these drawings is quite stunning. And remember that this is in the 1700s, so they wouldn't have he wouldn't have had a way to mass produce them, this kind of books, until much later. So we know that at least one version of this was all made by hand, which is quite interesting. And with that, I think we are ready to be on our way for tonight. Thank you for being here with us. Remember, you can support the show by becoming a member, liking, subscribing, sharing this show with someone who you think you might like. And we also have Patreons for us and for me, patreon.com/Ocean and patreon.com/Maxed, like the thing here between brackets. That's my stage name. And you can help support us even more. So we would be really really grateful if you send a few bucks our way as a thank you. And there's also some other interesting things in my Patreon in particular. For the $10 per month level, I will host a monthly Ask Me Anything, which is literally ask me anything. I have no problems, no limits on the question. You can ask me whatever you want, and I promise to answer. And then there's a a higher tier in which you can get some music production classes from me. If you want to check the out, just look Max wherever you listen to music, and um, you will find my music. So if you're into that, we can go we can do that and help you or give you a hand or maybe give you feedback, whatever you need on the production, music production side of things. Anything else you would like to say, Isa, before we go?
Well, I think mythology and storytelling is a real is a really integral part of being a person. And I really love telling stories like this, like the stories of dragons. And I think of Carl Sagan talking about the dragons of Eden, and just how this entity is so integral to all of our mythologies. You'll find these serpentine creatures with all different kinds of powers and understandings throughout all different ages and traditions. So I think it's a cool thing that ties us together as people.
All right, thank you so much, Isa. Your reflections and your thoughts are a much welcome addition to this show. So thank you for being here and co-hosting the show with me. We'll get started on working out what we're going to do next and see where we take it from there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the Tell Me That Story show and supporting Matters Now. We work really hard to bring you some awesome content that we hope you like and enjoy. So thank you for being there, and thank you. All right, we're going to close it out, and we'll see you next week right here at the Tell Me That Story show.